Hello and welcome to our Monty Fine Woodworking Shop Safety video. Today I'm going to be going over a little bit about safety in the woodworking shop, and we're going to be doing it all while building a crate. Starting off, gear to wear. You got to have your safety goggles, clothes that fit you, and a respirator mask, all of which could help you and save your life. Tools you're going to need today are a track saw, a miter saw, a nail gun, tape measure, and clamps, which are optional. You'll also need some 2x4s and some plywood to get started. First off, we're going to use our track saw. To use the track saw properly, you have to line up both sides of the track, cut only when the speed of the saw is at its maximum, and always cut from the back to the front. You'll see me here. I'm going to start behind the workpiece. I'm going to plunge downward, and then once the saw is at maximum range, I push it forward and keep it straight on the track. It's nice and easy like that. I'll have to walk around the piece because I'm just not that tall. And then once I get there, I'm going to do my best to position my body behind the piece, at least the upper half of my body, and then I'm going to plunge down again and follow through on the cut and make a nice clean cut. And we're going to be using that as the base of our piece today. The miter saw. In order to use the miter saw, you have to measure the piece before cutting, obviously, as true with all woodworking. Hold the piece down firmly and cut in a slow and steady motion. So here I am measuring my 2x4. This is going to be part of the running board for the side of our crate today. So notice I'm not actually pulling the trigger when I pull it down. There's a little laser that tells you exactly where you're going to cut, so I'm just making sure that I'm within bounds here. I like the way that cut turned out, and I hope you did too. Okay, so we're going to start using our nail gun today. Make sure that you have plenty of air pressure. You're going to hook it up to an air compressor. Hold the gun with both hands very firmly. It's got a lot of kick to it, and make sure with any gun, never point it at anyone, coworker, yourself, or anything that isn't a piece of wood. So what I'm doing here is the piece that we were building the crate for is a pretty large piece, so I had to build extensions because the 8-foot 2x4s weren't actually long enough. So what I'm doing here is I chopped an extra 24-inch 2x4, and then I added a bracer to the side to connect both pieces firmly. And I'm using clamps to get those connected before I actually nail it in place, just to have the best connection here. So I'm going back and forth on both pieces of wood just to get a very secure hold here. And this is what the extended piece looks like after I'm done putting some nails through it. Now what I've done is I took the initial piece of plywood that I cut with the track saw, and I'm positioning it on top of the 2x4s so I can make the base of the crate today. So the two longer pieces, the two longer 2x4s, I'm using as sideboards. So I'm making sure that the plywood is rested squarely on the edges of the 2x4, and I'm just going to tack those into place, and that'll give us a nice bed for our countertops to lay on. And as you can see, we are now back at the miter saw. I'm going to be using these 2x4s to create feet for the bottom of our crate, so they have a place to stand and a place for the forklift to pick them up, because the pieces do get quite heavy once they're in their crates. The width of the crate itself should be the same as the width of the feet, so that's what I'm doing here. I'm just getting everything all lined up, and I'm going to evenly distribute those across the bottom of the crate. On each different leg there, we're going to have 3 feet. So one on either side and one in the middle, just to evenly distribute the weight. And you'll see that right here. So what I've done is I've tacked equal length pieces on both sides of the legs, and then equal pieces in the center of the legs. And this should really help give great support to the piece, the countertop, once it's inside of the crate. Now you'll see that I'm attaching the bed that we made in the first part of the video to the feet that we just created. As it is a crate, it has to be one big piece, so we're attaching everything together with the nail gun. So I'm just going to go down the line and tack through the entire board. That way it'll be firmly secure all the way on every single leg. So I'm just going to do that process on each of the legs I've created. Now you'll see I've skipped ahead a little bit, so I put one more 2x4 on the far position closest to where my camera is, and I've already tacked that in, and now I'm getting the very last piece into place on the first row. So once I get that right where I want it, I'm going to nail that into place, and the first row of the sideboards will be complete. And after you've completed this stage, you're going to repeat this exact same process, and you're going to build a second layer to stack up to make a greater depth on the crate. So you're going to build the exact same running boards for every side that you just built, and that'll give the piece extra clearance. So here you can see that I've completed the second row, and what I'm doing now is I'm taking support pieces and I'm going to place those into the railing of the crate as well as the feet of the crate, so the top and bottom pieces are going to be firmly secured together. So I've skipped a little bit ahead here again, and you can see more of what the complete piece is going to look like. From this point, it's very little work left to do. We're just going to make sure everything is in place. So I just like to evenly distribute where I put the supports on the sides. And then after this, we're just going to nail on the top, but don't forget to put the piece in there first, otherwise you'll have a lot of work to do peeling off that lid, because that nail gun attaches those pieces together quite well. So I'm going to take a step away from the camera here, and here is what our complete product looks like. And thank you so much for watching, guys, and always remember, work safe and work smart.